This is how you become a property millionaire. What's up guys, hope you're all well. So I am bringing you a video after loads of requests on the simple question, how do you become a property millionaire? And one of the first things that I want to dismiss straight away is a property millionaire is not owning £1 million worth of property. It's about having £1 million worth of equity. And the two are really different. So I'm going to talk to you about getting straight into the property world and getting on the property ladder with your first property, right through to how you can turn that one property into multiple portfolio with an equity value in excess of £1 million. But as ever, before we get started, I need you all to do me a huge favor, and that is to smash the like button. And whilst you're there, don't forget to hit subscribe and the little bell icon next to it. So let's get straight into the video. Now, I am not talking about buying £1 million worth of property and only having like £200,000 worth of equity. I'm talking about a true millionaire, a true property millionaire, which is having £1 million net equity. What does that mean? That means if you sold everything tomorrow, you would have a cool, crisp check for £1 million. And one of the first things I want to start with is that you are not going to do this in one deal, and you're not going to do it quickly. You need to start with your first property, and that is your stepping stone into a world where you can then start to rinse and repeat to get to this level. And one of the best ways I think you can measure it is by as quickly as possible putting all of your transactions into a limited company. There's huge tax benefits, short-term and long-term, to do this, but it's one of the best ways that you can measure your performance to hit this goal. It's also a great way of publicly showing that you are not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk as well. And I urge anyone who does question what I'm saying, or anyone else, just go on Companies House and check the net balance sheet and see how that's grown year on year, and you can start to gauge how successful people really are, and more importantly, how good their year has been. Now, you can't see everything on Companies House details. One of the things you can't see is personal wealth. You can't tell if someone has a massive portfolio in their personal name, completely unencumbered. You can't tell how expensive their house is and if they have a mortgage on it. So that has to be taken at face value. But if people are actively involved in property in today's market, they should be doing it via a limited company. And within the space of a year to 18 months, you can soon gauge if they are exactly what they say they are. So that is a really good reason why we need to make sure that everything that you are doing, when possible, you switch over to a limited company. But that isn't going to be really relevant for the first transaction. Now, we know in the budget just this week, there was a new government-backed 95% mortgage announced, and that is available for anyone buying their residential home, not just first-time buyers. That means even people who live in a property that they own, they can potentially sell that and take advantage of one of these mortgages to buy a bigger and more expensive property if their income dictates that they can pass the affordability checks. But there has never been a better time to jump on the property ladder. You've got this new 95% product, you've got the lifetime ISA, and you've got the stamp duty exemption at the moment. So we know the tools are there for you to start to get onto the property ladder. But the most important thing that you can do is to buy a property that's going to put you in a position of strength or a position of wealth. Now, what do I mean by that? If you think buying a brand new home at their market rate, not the market rate, chances are you're not going to be buying it below market value or even at any form of discount compared to what it would sell for on the open market. And you're also not going to be putting yourself into a position where you can add significant value. And buying the first property and hitting these two key factors of buying cheap and adding value is so important on your stepping stones to becoming a property millionaire. So even though this property is for you to live in, you should be buying it with your investment hat on. You should be buying it with a view that you will eventually sell it one day and capitalize the gain. Or you may want to flip it onto a buy to let when you buy your next property, and that is the start of your investment portfolio and the start of your £1 million worth of equity. And in order to do those two things, you need to be buying it cheap and you need to be adding value. And adding value can be anything from a lick of paint and a new kitchen right through to reconfiguring the internal layout to gain another bedroom or maximize the space to the chosen market that you're going to target when you do eventually sell or rent it, right through to extending it and making it bigger. But remember, you will have to get permission from mortgage lenders when you start to change the number of bedrooms or do things like extensions. But with all that said and done, if you are able to find the right deal in the right market for the right market when you come to sell or rent it, you will be very quickly able to switch that or sell that up to then start to make some more moves within the property market. Now, if you decide to sell, you should release a nice chunk of equity into cash. You can use part of that cash to go and do it again and buy somewhere to live, but the other part can be used to start your investment portfolio. And again, the same principles apply. Buy cheap, add value, know your market. And when you're ready to start doing that, you want to switch it into a limited company name as soon as possible for all the reasons that I've said already. Then you need to understand what mortgage products are going to enable you to do what you want to do quicker and better. Now, I'm a big fan of these bridge to let products with the same lender. That means you bridge to buy, and then you can do all the work that you need to do, and then you can flip it onto a buy to let at the increased value within 6 months. That means you can turn these properties around within weeks and not months, realizing the equity, pulling some of the cash out and having a measurable increase on your balance sheet. And this is then key to taking 1 to 2 to multiple properties to hit the £1 million equity. But it all underpins on the market that you're targeting. You can do this on great property deals, but if you aren't renting to the target market that's there in that location, then soon, very quickly, you're going to come unstuck and you aren't going to be renting those properties or achieving the rental income that you need to sustain the mortgages, let alone any profit. So there's two moving parts to this. It's buying good deals, refurbishing, flipping them quickly, realizing the cash and equity, and making sure that you've got a sustainable rental market to make sure that you are not only covering the costs, but making a profit every single month. And pretty soon, within a matter of years, if you rinse and repeat this strategy, you will become a property equity millionaire before you know it. And that is an absolute milestone of achievement. Now, one of the things I want to finish on is what I've talked about is strategies where you create wealth, where you buy properties. Unfortunately, if you want to become a property millionaire, one of the slowest ways you can do it is focusing on income and not equity or wealth. And the strategy example of that is focusing on things like deal sourcing and rent to rent. Yes, they give you cash flow, definitely in the short term, but long term, you are just creating a cash flowing job for yourself. You want to create wealth and equity, which enables you to do more to eventually do less. And equity and wealth is the right direction. And how I explained to do that is one of the easiest paths that you can do it, and probably one of the quickest. I'm talking about a matter of 1 to 2 years if you get the properties right at purchase and you know what market you're targeting. So that's it from me, guys. Really light-hearted video after a pretty intense week with the new budget. But we did touch on that new budget because that is going to propel people like you and me and anyone looking to start their property journey to becoming a property millionaire in terms of equity. But that's it from me. Hope you found the content rich, and I'll catch you all on the next video.